Hey gang, welcome to the Gill Athletics Connections podcast. Our goal here is simply to share with you the stories and backgrounds of the great people of track and field. I am your host, Mike Cunningham, and it is my honor and privilege to bring you these great men and women from around the world. Real quick, some housekeeping things. Big day for the Gill Athletics Connections podcast. Big shout out to you. Thank you so much. We reached the 1,000 listen mark today. April 2nd, no April Fool's Day here. So humbled that you would spend time to listen to us sharing the great stories out there of just some amazing men and women. So thankful that you would spend your time and energy with us. Speaking of great track and field coaches, wow, got a great one here. Marissa Chu, a track coach at IUPUI, Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis, the Racehounds, I believe, stopped by to talk about this passion project, the Coaches Collab on Facebook. Super value here in this group. They've done an amazing job. She has got 1,800. Mark it down. April 2nd, 4 o'clock Central Time. There's 1,800 people. I'm excited to see how big this will blow up because I know there's more fantastic track and field coaches on the high school and club and college and professional level that would receive and give tremendous value in this group. So without further ado, help me welcome the wise, the wonderful, the admin of the Coaches Collab Facebook group, Marissa Chu. Hey, Marissa.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, thanks for joining us on really such quick notice here on the Gill Athletics Connections podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm excited to bring your story. We're going to hyper focus on a passion project you have started a whole 2 weeks and 2 days ago that has kind of blown up. Marissa has started a group on Facebook called Coaches Collab. And, at Gill Athletics, we're so passionate about coaches. So anytime someone does something like this for the betterment of the profession and adds so much value, we really want to dig in deeper and learn more about that. So Marissa is the assistant track coach at IUPUI in beautiful Indiana. And Marissa, maybe let's start on an overview. Tell us, what is the Coaches Collab Facebook group?
The Coaches Collab is literally a collaboration of coaches who are just talking about track and field. I wanted to make sure that we got people together thinking about track and field things, not necessarily profession things.
So explain that a little bit more when you say not necessarily profession things, but more coaching things. What are some of the topics that are discussed on a daily basis now? It's amazing.
Yeah, literally 5 days a week, we've got event groups going. So on any given day, you're talking about method, training theory, practice components. And so, I'm using those words, but it's not nearly as technical as it sounds. It's, what things are working, what things aren't working. I read this, but this is better in practice. And, today, in fact, we had two, not controversial by any means, but two conflicting theories that were presented in the long hurdles as to application. And neither were wrong. It's just a difference of thought and, difference of athlete of who you're encountering at that point in time. So all those type of things are happening. We're going even into, we have a general session, as funny as it is to say that, where we spoke about mentorship this week. So one of those things that, everyone kind of talks about, but never really gets into the conversation. So just stuff like that.
I think, you touched on something really important there. One of the organizations that brings, in my opinion, a ton of value to our track and field coaches around the country is the USTF CCCA convention. And if you've been there, you know exactly what it is and where it is. And it's awesome. It's so much value and connections and interchange between coaches. But the drawback, in my opinion, is we then go straight into Christmas break, which is our downtime before 6 months. Well, in the past, 6 months. Unfortunately, this year is different. But then we go straight into season, and we all know the hectic that is practice and travel and recruiting and finals and everything that goes on through the spring semester. So this is an opportunity it appears to be outside of, now that we're paused on the actual practices and competitions, unfortunately, it seems like this is a way for coaches to get together and maybe go deeper into their training theories and skill
Exactly.
sets. And are those conversations happening inside the group, or are you doing some type of video conferencing or anything like that?
The main platform is on video conferencing. We're using the Zoom platform. And so on Sunday nights, I'm taking about an hour and a half to create calls for the week. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we've got 2 calls that happen in the daytime. And I do encourage those participants that are present to take the conversation off the platform. It doesn't have to stop whenever I end the call. Mini groups can be set up. I have encouraged today a young gentleman to reach out to somebody that you liked what you heard. We hear everybody's name, we see everybody's name. They're a part of the group, so just message them. If they don't respond, then you move on to somebody else. But more often than not, I mean, we're in a really unprecedented time where we have time to respond.
Yeah, no excuses, right?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
I was
So,
napping, I'm sorry.
right, yeah, that's the only excuse. Exactly, that's right. Or now that we're home with our spouses more than we ever have been, making sure we're getting the lawn done and helping with the kids, and
Exactly.
I actually think that's a huge positive for our coaches out there to have that time with their families.
I
You
agree.
mentioned. So on Sunday night, you're sitting down for an hour planning these out. So you are really an active manager of this group.
I am all of it. I am the sun, the moon, and the sky. I made that joke today on the call. Is every day I'm getting messages, I'm getting questions, I'm getting requests, and which is more than fine. I'm never going to deter anybody from doing such, but just be patient. Because I'm a one man show. I'm getting the call links up after the fact. I'm combing through the chats and making sure anything that's resourceful or that was cited is put in up onto the page as well. And I literally want this to be just full of information and just a resource for everyone, whatever the topic is. And I just remember how scared I was going to the convention for the first time. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to that person and going to ask them a question. Are you serious? Like, I'm a peon compared to who they are. And I want it to be open formatted. And I've had some, let's call more veteran coaches, more well-known coaches who have stated, I don't mind being on there and being a mentor. And I said, I appreciate the offer. I said, but we're not looking for mentors yet. That's not where I want it to go. I want it to be an open format where we can talk about things, because there are a lot of these coaches. I mean, of the 100 people that were on the long hurdle call today, I mean, there was probably under 10 who could be a recognizable name for one shape, way, or form. But the other 90, we're just trying to figure out how to learn from you. And we want to say, well, I do this in practice, and not feel like we just threw pie in our own face,
Right.
And so that's kind of just the basis of it, is the comfortability, because we are able to see each other, but we're not like so vulnerable that we have to cower down and sweat our way through these things.
So you said you had 100 coaches on this one call today for long hurdles, I think
Correct.
you said?
So this was the third call that we were at 100, and that's the max capacity for the Zoom account that I signed up for, because I didn't think we'd ever get there.
Yeah, right. I'm amazed.
Yeah. So today was 100. For the 800, 1500 meter run, we were at 100. And then there was another call, maybe triple jump. I can't remember, but yeah, this was the third call that we are at capacity, where people were waiting for others to log off so they can come in. There was literally a line at the door.
Kudos to you for up and provide value for so many people. So first of all, kudos to you.
Thank you.
Top of
Thank you
that,
very much.
if you're listening and you're one of those 100 or any of the other groups that have had, kudos to you for not sitting down and licking your wounds and woe is me. You're being so proactive about improving yourself, which is going to improve your team for 2021. That is bravo awesome job. You should be commended for that. That's amazing. I love that.
Thank
Love
you.
that. So
Thank you.
let's take a step back because we just talked about 100 people on a Zoom call, which, oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Right.
So why did you started this on March 17th as the born on date for this group. So
Hmm.
what made you start this group?
Just kind of reflecting about my career so far as a coach in the collegiate ranks. Prior to college, I was a high school coach and then coached various sports at the high school level. But just remembering what it was like to break the seal and just get
Mm-hmm.
in there and, having to network. Starting my collegiate career in California, in San Francisco specifically, California is saturated with universities,
Mm-hmm.
but not everybody wants to share and not everybody's friendly. So just remembering that feeling of being a new coach in the coach's box where everybody else is conversing. And I'm like, hi, pay attention to me, and having a great head coach at the time. And she answered a lot of questions and she was really supportive. But at the same time, she was in the same box as I
Mm-hmm.
was and, establishing herself in her career. And going to the convention for the first time and remembering what it felt like to be one of 2,000 and trying to find a niche, find a table where I didn't stick out too badly and could converse and people wanted to talk to me. So just remembering that awkward feeling and not really knowing what to do next.
Mm-hmm.
And so that really since that time and since I've grown out of that uncomfortable feeling, and not even completely, but wanting to support others, wanting to support the other young coaches, regardless of gender, regardless of culture,
Mm-hmm.
or anything of that nature, just giving them that out. So I'm one that will always go up to that person that looks a little scared.
Oh.
And I introduce myself and I'm like, hey, like, where are you from? What do you do? All those things. So what better way to do that on a social networking site and kind of open them up and, you know, ask them to take a little leap of faith as well as to join.
I tell you,
So,
this world, leadership is extremely important to us, uh, and leaders are important. In this world, at no better time do we need more and better leaders than right now. So, thank you for taking that
agreed.
leadership role. Um,
Thank you.
we just looked at the numbers. The group is just over 1,800 coaches. How did that start? Did you get a thousand? You must know a lot of people. You seem like you're an extrovert here. Did you start with 1,000 people right off the bat, or how did it grow to be 1,800?
So the funny thing is I don't feel like I do know a lot of people. I'll be honest.
Okay.
I feel like my circle is pretty
Mm-hmm.
small. Um, so what happened so I was brainstorming, kind of just talking to myself, like, how can I help? What can I do? In this time of boredom, to be honest, because I can't coach my athletes.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to go crazy and I can't read that many books and I can't crochet that many blankets. So what am I going to do? And so we sit here or I sit there and I look at the group of friends and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get some of us together and let's sit down, across the nation. I always say that I want to sit down with my cohorts, my
Mm-hmm.
friends and get better. And so what better time when I actually have time to get on the phone and let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so the list starts out and I'm probably at 40, 50. Okay, I'm good. The actual invites go out and it goes to 60. I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. That's
Yeah.
a good number. We can do
Bravo.
that.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like that's winning right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I set that up and I I'm as technological savvy as I am. I'm not that savvy. I survive. And somehow the number starts to double and then triple. And I'm like, oh, well, that's okay. Like I don't need to know everyone I talk to. This is how we network. This is called being professional.
Mm-hmm.
And then literally by the end of the night, the number had quadrupled.
Oh
I was
wow.
at just under 300. And then in 24 hours, we're at just under 1,000.
Wow.
And, yeah. And I started to be a little scared. I had that pee in the pants type moment. And I'm like, eh. And then it just kept growing. And then I remember saying, so I created on the 17th. I remember, if not late night 18th, I was up pretty late. Definitely by the 19th, the midday, I was like, holy crap, we're at 1,200 people. Like, what?
Yeah.
what just happened? And, Alan Dunson had made note,
Mm.
like, I think it was when we were at 1,500 people, give or take. Or no, it was when we were just going over 1,000. He said, we're half of the attendance of the convention.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And that really put it in perspective for me. Like, oh, wow, this is a big thing. And at that point, I thought it was a big thing.
Right. Oh, sure.
And I didn't think it was going to go bigger than that.
Right.
And, as you noted, we're here now at 1,800 plus, and I've got some people waiting to get
Mm-hmm.
in that just need to take the necessary steps to get in.
Right.
And, that number instantly
Yeah,
grows.
what's interesting about that 1800 from I've been, I peruse, I made the cut. That's the good news. Woof, I did the necessary requirements as an old timer now for, coaching a long time ago. But it was interesting to me again, because I'm interested in coaches and what they do in professional and personal development, to see what are the topics being expressed and who's actually in the group. Is it your aunt and uncle who, they're fans of track, so they're in, or is it actual track coaches? Boy, it appears you are 1,800 strong track and field coaches, a bunch of different levels,
Mm-hmm.
club coaches, all the way up to college through high school, etc. But you have been real intentional about keeping that group focused on the subject matter of improving themselves personally as coaches of track and field.
Yes. And I definitely would say there are probably a few out there, more than two handfuls, who have other choice words to call it. Um, but I am definitely being very deliberate because there are 1,002 track and field groups. And, we have websites that are dedicated to the smudge,
Mm.
so go there and smudge.
Mm-hmm,
I,
mm-hmm,
those are there already.
mm-hmm,
And, from what I had seen, like, I wanted it to be genuine. I wanted it to be unique, not for my own personal growth
mm-hmm,
or glory, but for everyone to just grow.
mm-hmm.
That's what I wanted it for, because that's the one thing that we come out of the symposiums at convention, we come out of these clinics that are held, you know, either quarterly or biannually, and we're like, I wish we would have done this. I wish I could have
Mm,
talked to. I wish I could have got some one-on-one
right.
time. So here we are. Like, let's do that.
Man, I tell you,
All you have to do is open up your mouth.
the power of initiative and then the power of social media coming
Mm-hmm.
together. I love that. What has been, it's kind of funny to ask you, Marissa, because it's only been 2 weeks. But
I know.
has anything surprised you out of getting 1,800 coaches together? Has anything happened? Did you see a conversation or any sharing, anything that surprised you that on a positive note?
The biggest surprise for me, honestly, is who has joined and
Hmm.
who has contributed.
Hmm.
That is the biggest thing so far. We had Harry on the call for the multis the other day,
Oh,
and
Harry. Whoa, hold on.
Harry Mara.
See, you know him by first name. Let's make sure
Yeah.
everybody knows the legend. I have to little humble brag here.
Right?
I've had dinner with Harry, so I know what a
Oh,
big deal Harry Mara is. So
right.
Harry
Isn't that crazy?
Mara is contributing. That is awesome.
Yeah, he jumped on, his face popped up on my screen, and I couldn't do anything but smile. I was like, my heart's racing, my hands are sweating, and I'm not even in the same state as this guy, and people of just that magnitude
Yeah.
want to come back and help. And, they giggle and they're like, who are you? And I'm like, nobody. I
Oh,
literally am
that's not
nobody,
true.
and so it's one of those things where that's been the greatest thing, Andreas Bem has been on.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, he's just been a name on a website that I look at.
Mm.
And here he is conversing
Yeah, good.
with me and 99 other people.
Yeah, good dude, and obviously his intelligence is off the charts. I do want to shout out Harry Mara again, because one of the things as I got to know him, one of my former bosses who's now retired, and him were like in the decathlon world growing up,
Mm-hmm.
and so I got to know Ashton a little bit through my connection with Harry. One of the things that fascinated me about Harry, it's interesting you having the perspective of like, oh my goodness, Harry Mara is, giving back to us. Harry, all the way through coaching Ashton through world records, gold medals, etc., was so humble. It was amazing to me that man can coach anything and everything. When
Mm-hmm.
he would get connected with another coach that was a discus coach or a pole vault coach or whatever, Harry would sit down and pepper that coach with a million questions about, well, hey, what do you do here? Why do you do this? How do you do this?
Right.
To try to get better. He was always at his age and stage in life. He could easily, we'd all give him all the grace in the world if he said, no, I this is how I do it, and I'm not going to learn anymore. Come on, I'm this old, right?
Uh-huh.
He never had that. So I can see him contributing for two reasons. One is he's a giver. He would want to give back to this sport that he loves, but he's still wanting to get better. He's learning from everybody else in your group.
Exactly. And he said that. He said that. He was like, oh, I never thought about it
Yep.
that way. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's possible?
He's amazing. So how would someone, if someone's listening right now and they want to join this group, what's the route to take to do that?
Jump onto Facebook. In the groups, search up Coaches Collab, multiple coaches, so COACHES,
Okay.
and it's the condensed word for collaboration, COLLAB. Go onto there, click on I think it's join, that's the button.
Mm-hmm.
There are two questions that I do ask, and that way I make sure that you are involved
Mm-hmm.
currently or
Mm-hmm.
even in some way, shape, or form to the track and field world.
Mm-hmm.
And I do ask a question if you do understand that this is not for self promotion or
Mm-hmm.
for recruiting. This is about self growth as a person, not the career.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're automatically in.
That's it. And
As
then,
easy as that.
and how did it start? I don't see it anywhere, but it seems like everybody instinctively knows as soon as they get approved to join, everybody seems to their name, school, maybe what they specialize in for coaching, and a little fun fact about that. Everybody seems like self-introduce themselves.
So I didn't even do that.
Yeah, I wondered.
I
Yeah.
so I don't remember. It was maybe 20 people in somewhere. Someone did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone just kind of followed suit. And then I think it was later that day or later, like 24 hours later, I was like, oh, I guess I should do this too, since okay. And so I added mine on there and I mean, I've had a few people who asked, who's the admin of this group? And I kind of do the shorthand raise and I respond back and everybody's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, it's just me. That's all.
Hey, I think that is another huge positive for you, Marissa, because sometimes people do things because they want attention. They want the look at me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Full disclosure to you right now, listener, I had to do the exact same thing. I was like, hey, Marissa, so are you the one who started this? Are you? No, because I think what that really shows is you didn't do that for you. You're receiving value from it. You did it to bring track coaches again from around the world together during this like you said, unprecedented time, and
Mm-hmm.
are just adding so much value. So for I'm going to say, for me, I'm going to represent the track and field world right here. We do have broad shoulders at Gill. We touch so many great track and field coaches and programs around the
Absolutely.
world. So I'm going to say thank you from the track and field world. You are
Oh,
doing
wow.
an awesome service. The key is bringing value, and you are doing exactly that by connecting people. It really goes hand in hand with exactly the reason we started this podcast. That's why we call it the Gill Athletics Connections Podcast. Bringing people
Mm-hmm.
together, bringing ideas together so that we can be better coaches, better people, better mentors, and stewards of this great sport of track and field. So Marissa, thank you so much for spending time with us. I hope everybody, if you are listening right now and you are not a member of the Coaches Collab and you are a track and field coach aficionado, go right now to Facebook, search Coaches Collab, and make sure you answer those questions, or you're gonna be
Right.
on the infinite waiting list. Marissa, thank you so much
Exactly.
for your time today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye. Wow. Life is about adding value to others selflessly. And Marissa just, what a great example of that. I'm so proud of Marissa. I'm so proud of the 1,800 other coaches that are in this group to receive value and give value. It is, it is exactly the reason people got got into becoming a track and field coach. So just so happy to be able to bring that story to you today. If you've made it this far, you're still listening to this voice. Hey, thanks for joining us today. As mentioned, we've got over 1,000 listens so far, and we're just getting started. So really hope you enjoyed connecting with Marissa today as much as I did. Make sure you're subscribed to the Gill Athletics Connections podcast on your favorite podcast player, Spotify or Apple Podcast. That way you'll be notified of future episodes that we publish. And again, we need guests. We covet guests like you. So if someone you know or you would like to be a guest on the Gill Athletics Connections podcast, simply email me at hurdle@gillathletics.com. That's right, hurdle@gillathletics.com. In the meantime, until we talk again, hope you feel led to share this podcast on your social media network of choice, and look forward to next time when we once again connect you with another great track and field coach.